What is shaking and baking, YouTube? Another hot minute, another hot take. Today we're going to be diving in to the Voltrove 30 Remastered. I've had this tank for a lot longer than I even want to admit. My dude Kyle Llorente was like, I got you, when they released. It was right when my former company was closing up shop. We were in a mad rush. I was in charge of our final sales building and all of the people. And yeah, work was insane. 5 in the morning till 6, 7 o'clock at night, pretty much every single day, trying to make sure that we got all of our vehicles out, signed for, invoiced, before our doors closed. So he sent me it, and it sat, and it sat, and it sat, and it sat. But today's the day. We're gonna dive in. We're gonna look it over. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna build it, wick it, and then we're gonna run it. So let's dive in. All right. So Voltrove 30 Remastered. In the box, you've got your extras. There's a whole pile of these extras. I don't know if these came with every one, or not, because traditionally they're black. These are not. So they could have just been extras that Kyle had that he sent my way. Nonetheless, you've got bubble section if you want or need more capacity. Then you've got the tank itself. Looking over it, it looks like a more petite, robust version of the original 30. However, there's some changes to it in terms of height. It's definitely not nearly as tall as the original one was. But if you remember, the original had a shorty section that it came with. But same quarter turn cap. Then your base. We're going to take these two apart. Is that same quarter turn lock. Now in here is a chunky single. This chunky single and me, we're not friends. So we're going to swap this out and actually rebuild it with what I feel is a more user-friendly coil diameter for successful wicking every single time. So that'll be up in a second. We'll get some coil spun up for this, then we will rejoin when we are doing our installation. Alright guys, and we are back. Just like that, the magic of YouTube. We're going to take this out of here. And we're going to put in a build that I just made for this tank. And we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about it quite a bit. We're going to put that in there. Alright, so first things first. Let's figure out our leg length. So, let's keep that up there. Keep that up there. Got about 1.5 mil of depth. So let's start at 4.5. But I think we're going to end up taking it down a notch. Let's see how 4.5 looks. 4.5. I'm happy with that. We're gonna stay at 4.5. Okay. for a coil, then we're going to do the other side. Now when securing, I'm holding that coil all the way towards the post holes that I am tightening up, because I want it to stay in that region. It makes it easier to put the other coil in on the other side. The reason I have the mandrel in is so the coil doesn't twist and get all messed up. I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but I always install the coil legs with the bend going towards the center versus the bend going out. I think it just looks cleaner. I don't know. It's literally just aesthetics, because it doesn't matter. So long as you get coils in it, that's obviously the main thing. But I've got our coils in. We're going to position them as best we can. All I'm doing is tipping them towards the center a bit, making sure they're straight, and that I have equal distance on each side. Just like so. Now let's talk about this build. So from running this tank previously, I noticed that airflow, it doesn't have a whole lot. So typically when you have tanks that are a little bit more restricted, I like to build a little bit lower in resistance so that I don't need as much voltage to power the build, because typically I just get better performance out of a lower resistance build in a tank that has a tighter draw, if that makes sense. But instead of going through the boring process of breaking these in live, let's speed it up. Okay, and just like that, coils are all broke in, no issues. Our steps for break-in are always pretty similar. We started out at 25 watts, got them glowing nice and low, went up to 50 watts, repeat, 75 watts, repeat, 100 watts, repeat, 125 watts, repeat, and then I stopped right around 200. I'll never exceed 200 watts on this build, at least I don't believe so. It's not what the intent of the build is. Thanks to the power of math, science, and building for a really, really long time, this build measured out spot on 0.10, 0.11, which is exactly where I wanted it to. And what you're looking at on this, which fills this deck quite well, is actually 2.7 millimeter. So it's wrapped on a 2.5 mil bit. I have a specialty bit that actually wraps a true 2.5, but when I wrap on a 2.5 mil bit, it rests at 2.7. So we have 2.7 millimeter ID. We have 2738 nichrome N90, 7 wrap, 2.7 mil, comes right out at 0.10, 0.11. Let's get into the wicking now that our coils are cooled down. As always, sheets of Muji and clean hands, because whatever's on your hands has ended up on your cotton, which has ended up in your tank, and then, yep, no bueno. This might be a little thick for 2.7, but we're gonna see. You can take away. Too much. If it's making that much racket going through, you got too much cotton. You could thin the legs if you wanted to, but that still leaves too much cotton wicked inside the coil, which is going to be an issue. Because if you can't get juice into the center of your cotton, you're going to end up burning your wicks out. Again, no good. No good. It's okay. Now that's what we're after right there. Perfect. The strip's a little thinner. I'll just take a little bit more off my outer layer. You always want to give it a little stretch. We're going to remove some from this as well. Not as much. Okay. Perfect. There we go. Okay, now we got to dive into it. Oh, you're good, buddy. So with the 41EG, this one, you could get away with having some minor issues or errors when it comes to putting the cotton in. Just because the juice ports are really large. On this one, they're not quite as large. So another driving force to actually doing a 2.7 mil, a smaller ID, is you have less cotton going into the wick port. So it adds a little bit of room for error. But we're going to take our scissors right on the ledge where the O-ring is. And you see we're not straight up, we're not flat. We're right in that happy medium. I would say it's about 11 o'clock, if that makes sense. It should make sense. Seems my scissors have loosened up on me. Okay, we got backups for that. There we go. Now we're going to recenter this because it did pull a little bit. There we go. Okay, now we know what time it is. When in doubt, fluff it out. Why do we fluff? Because we want all those fibers broken up that are going to be responsible for transferring juice to the coil. The better they can do their job, the better experience you're going to have. Now we tucky. When I get done, I'll show you what I'm seeing and what to shoot for. Because if you can visually see it, you know you can take some away, or you know you cut it too short and you got to start over. The reason I like cutting the cotton at an angle as well is you end up with a little less cotton on the inside and a little more on the outside, if that makes sense in terms of where that cotton is, so it doesn't get too jammed up. But what we have here is you've got your cotton about halfway down, 2/3 of the way down in that juice port. It's not packed in there, It's not too tight. It's not running all the way to the bottom. It's just in there kind of floating around a little bit. I can take this and go right underneath it and not really disrupt the cotton. This side is exactly the same. So that is the target. You're looking to float your wicks ever so slightly so that basically you can get this nice little capillary effect underneath your wicks. It's pretty much where like a bubble is going to sit. And it creates that vacuum in the tank. It creates that feeding process to the coil, to the cotton, to all the things. So now all that's left is juice her up. Alright. Didn't realize that I didn't have any bottles next to me, so we went and grabbed this one. We might pay for it later, but I didn't feel like priming this with a giant 1000 ml bottle, so we're gonna prime it up with something I run comfortably around 100 watts, which is 12 microgram. Some sour Skittles. It's a profile I gotta get on the menu because it's excellent. Little bolts, get that cotton in the center all saturated up. Cottontails all saturated. That's looking money. Okay, let's put it together, fill it up, take it up top. Alright guys, we're back up top. We didn't fill it all the way because I wasn't sure how strong this juice was going to hit at 12 microgram and 100 plus watts and so on and so forth. So if it knocks me on my butt, I didn't want to have to suffer through using the whole tank. So there's that. In case anybody's wondering, got some JD honey and Coca-Cola. It is splendid. Okay. Yep, let's put those over here, and these over here, and those over there. There we go. All right, so our capillary / bubble action, you can actually see. Did it disappear, or is it just not picking it up? It disappeared. Or it's just hard to see. There's a bubble sitting right underneath your wicks. And as you can see, looking through here, there ain't no juice in there. Okay? That's what you're searching for. You're searching for a tank you can rip on that doesn't leak. So we are sitting right now at 125 watts. 0.1. Do I think I'm going to be able to chain vape this to see if I can make it run dry? Absolutely not, if that's what you guys signed up for. I'm sorry in advance. Got a Hadron Pro Steam Crave. For those that don't know, I worked with Steam Crave on this mod, which was cool. I've got some prototypes that never were released. And then when they, came to their finalized product, they hit it with a laser for me. So that's cool. Some takeaways. This actually has more airflow than I recall. Is it 30 LE level? No. Is it 30 OG level? No. Is it probably comparable to the original 30V3? I would say yes, but it actually vapes smoother, if that makes sense. It's not as choppy of an airflow. I think the introduction of those side airflow ports going up helps with that tremendously. You don't have so much turbulence in the chamber. Flavor smoking. Like really, really good. All right, let's do it. But you can see, you can see the bubbles. It's keeping up with what we're asking it to do. Now, if I set this tank here for an hour and don't touch it, is the possibility that it's going to start weeping down that 510? Absolutely. There's a possibility. But realistically, if you nail the wicking out of the gate, you're not going to see it from when you start. Then while you're using it, so on and so forth, again, it's going to make itself known immediately. If you take a pull off of it and you're not getting full-on flavor, there's your telltale that you went too heavy. And the nice thing about a Voltrove, you tip it over, you pop the tank off, take your wicks out, the tails of your wicks out, and just cut them. You don't have to re-wick the whole thing unless you simply went way too heavy with cotton. But I know when Mark dropped this tank, there was no prototypes sent out that I know of. So I never actually got to play with it before the release. And I know Mark was very adamant that when I built for it originally, that we were firm at 3mm. Am I saying 0.3mm is a deal breaker? No, I'm not. You probably do have to thin some of that cotton out though, because if it's too tight in that wicking port, it's not going to wick. At 2.7, it's money. It's perfect. You could probably even get away with 2.5. From a single coil standpoint, what was in it was 5. I shrunk it to 4.5. I still wasn't over the moon about a single coil in this tank. Does that mean if somebody reaches out and says, Nick, can I get a single coil for the 30 remastered? I'm going to entertain it, but I'm also going to let you know that in my experience, in my opinion, this tank with those wick ports shines with duals and a smaller diameter. Are you going to run this tank to 4,000 watts? No, it's not what it's made for. But is it a super enjoyable tank? You know, in that ballpark of 100 watts to probably 200? Yeah. Speaking of, we'll take it up to 200. No issues. Is that what this build is intended for? No, it's not. But we do the things and the stuff. Do I feel like going over that right now? No. Not with juice this strong. If we were rocking some 3, sure, but I can already feel my ears getting hot. And no, it's not from the jack. So, long overdue. My apologies. I found a hole in my lip. Life just be lifing. I don't know. A lot of people have followed me for a long time. Went from 13 years at the same company. Left when our daycare passed away to take care of my son. Found a replacement daycare a few years later, because our youngest is in the spectrum. You can't just bring him to anyone. It had to be the right person, the right special person that understood and how to care for our son. So in 23, I returned to the company, ultimately to help close the doors. I had spent 13 years of my young adult life into my adult life, learning what it was to be an employee, what it was to be a good employee, what it was to be a good coworker, what it was to cohabitate with a bunch of other people to share a similar goal. They taught me a lot of things. Gave me a further education I didn't have. All kinds of special training, so on and so forth. So when I returned in 23, I knew the company was closing, but I returned to pay it forward because they had shown me what it was to be an adult, a high-functioning adult. If I took you through a tour of my office, my build desk that you see behind me is ergonomically correct for standing and working all day. It's got a fatigue mat at the bottom of it. It's set to be right at belly button height, so I'm not bending over or I'm not looking up. Everything around my desk is set up the same way when it comes to packaging, shipping orders. And I didn't know that existed until I worked there and learned lean manufacturing and all of that stuff. So I returned to pay it forward and was fortunate enough to be there almost until the end. They kept me on as long as they possibly could. The releases went based on seniority, which I understood. Some people didn't agree with it, but I understood it. It was the only fair way to go about it. Was off for about a month. The new company came in, said, Nick, we want you. Cupcakes and rainbows. I spent the next 8 to 10 months of my life killing myself for that company to help get it going, get it off the ground. And there were some key opportunities that would have advanced me to the next level that ultimately, after 3 times of getting passed over, I realized either I wasn't a fit for the position or the people that were in those positions didn't want to share that room with me. So one of my childhood buddies and one of my former employees had started their own business, and for 2 years they tried to get me to join them, and I realized at that point that I needed a change. Went from working in steel walls and concrete floors to climbing ladders and working outside, and it's been a great change. It's been a great change on my mental health, my physical health. It's not that I didn't get my steps in every day, but those steps hit different when you're climbing a 28 or a 32-foot ladder all day. So it's been awesome. It's been a great change. It's allowed me some more time in my schedule to be able to continue to run what I do and bring some more videos to YouTube. I do have one more, at least right now in the pipeline, that I gotta get done, and nobody asked for it. A lot of people never even heard of it, but it's the Modfather 25. This tank for me when it came out was amazing. I had 3 or 4 of them. Why I got rid of them, I don't know, but we do weird things. But I reached out to the community, and one of my dudes, Jack Moss, shout out, he makes some amazing tanks and tips. He got me hooked up. He had one, it's brand new. Granted, I don't have the box for it, but that'll be the next one. But yeah, that's where Nick went, man. I know a lot of people were wondering, because I just kind of vanished. But that's what happens sometimes in life. In 23, I returned to work. In 23, I also became a dad again at 40. She was not planned. My wife and I tried for another child for a decade and then just gave up. We had come to the realization we're not getting any younger, and if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. Went through rounds of fertility drugs and all kinds of stuff and never did anything. And then all of a sudden, poof, we're preggo, got a baby on board. So there was that too. So a reset back to, being a parent, a father of a young, small baby human, is time consuming. Especially now at the age I'm at. I had my first son when I was 23. I didn't even know what life was then, but I knew what I had to do. then my next at 25, then my next at 31. You know, all these different chapters of my life, I had kids, and now I'm 40. You know, the same things I worried about in my 20s, I don't worry about anymore. We don't have to worry about those things. So it gave me the opportunity to really enjoy this time around, I guess. You know what I mean? You soak it all in. So I didn't want to miss that. I didn't want to miss it for anything. That's why this tank is set on my desk for almost a year. But yeah, we went a little off course there. It's classic me. If you follow me on Facebook when I go live, we take left turns and then we circle back around. And then we talk about the fact I still have no juice visible in there, which tells me it's doing all the right things. So, 30 Remastered. That's how I get down. 2.7 millimeter ID, 4.5 millimeter legs. Split the divvy on the airflow. Make sure you're cutting at 10, 11 o'clock on your wicks. Float them. Don't run them all the way to the bottom. Fill it. Send it. It's another great tank. I wish I'd got around to this a lot sooner. But on a positive note, that means I can return it to my dude Kyle now. With the build that I have in it. Not the build he sent me. Shout out. Thank you. Kyle does amazing work. So, yeah. That's it, folks. Another one in the books. We're going to get this uploaded and get to some orders. So, peace out, Girl Scouties.